A very good morning, dear students. Shall we start with the lecture?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So in the earlier lectures, we have seen at length with different examples how microorganisms are able to perform the phenomenon of chemolithotrophy. Okay, that is to say, they derive the energy or electrons from an inorganic molecule. Okay, so a lot of different examples we have seen. Some of the examples we have discussed in more detail. For example, the iron oxidizing bacteria. Okay. Then here in this particular part, now we are going to see something about assimilatory metabolism. Okay, so actually this is something which is added to your syllabus. It is not exactly in line with what we have been studying so far, the electron transport chains, photosynthesis, aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, and chemolithotrophy. So this topic is a bit different than what we have already studied. But the basic reason which I feel that this is incorporated in your syllabus is probably to make you aware that there is something called as assimilatory metabolism, which is different than dissimilatory metabolism. And just to cite an example, they have put I think this topic on nitrogen fixation. Okay, so we have already seen how nitrogen compounds are used as the electron donor. We have also seen how the nitrogen compounds are used as the electron acceptor, that is the anaerobic respiration. Okay, electron donor, that is chemolithotrophy, also we have seen. And now probably they want you to have something like a link between what is assimilatory metabolism and what is dissimilatory metabolism. Okay, so from that point of view, I think we should study this particular as just a small example of assimilatory metabolism, and the process is nitrogen fixation. Okay, so what essentially nitrogen fixation means is the volatile form of nitrogen, that is nitrogen gas. Okay, this is reduced, okay, into an organic form, and that particular form is made available to the organisms for assimilatory purpose, that is to say for the synthetic reactions. Okay, it may be the nucleotides of DNA, or it could be protein, amino acids. Okay, so the nitrogen is actually incorporated in these biomolecules. Okay. Okay, so this is essentially nitrogen gas. You can see here the structure is like this N triple bond N. So triple bond actually is suggestive that this particular molecule is a highly stable molecule in nature. Okay, and if at all it has to be, it must be used by the organisms, then this particular bond must be broken, and that would require some kind of energy, isn't it? So that is the basic thing we should know, and all organisms are not able to use nitrogen. That is also very important. For example, plants cannot use atmospheric nitrogen, but they require nitrogen to be in a fixed form, that is in the form of nitrates or ammonia. Okay, or it could be the amino acids, right? So it is a certain group, certain types of bacteria which are able to do that. They are able to fix the atmospheric nitrogen, convert it into nitrates or ammonia, and then that ammonia or nitrogen nitrates is subsequently used by all other organisms, especially the plants. Okay, and of course we are dependent upon the plants for our biosynthetic needs. Okay, so here what I have written is nitrogen N2. Okay, it is a diatomic molecule. So N2 is reduced to ammonia. Okay, and this ammonia, instead of getting oxidized, okay, we have seen this is chemolithotrophy, isn't it? Ammonia was the source of electrons. So instead of using ammonia as a source of electrons here, this ammonia is converted into nitrates, and that process we call as nitrification. Okay, now this process is the reverse of denitrification. We have already studied what is denitrification. What is denitrification? Yes. Nobody wants to answer?
Yeah. Nitrate to nitrate.
Nitrate to nitrate. That's all.
Denitrification.
Is that all?
NO3 to NO2.
That's what I'm saying. Is it the complete answer that you have given? Then I think you should refer back to what we have already studied. Are you writing notes, or you are just referring to the video lecture that I'm sending you? I think you should write your own notes. Okay, you have to refer to different books. Okay, whatever e-books are available to you. Okay, I think I have sent you something. You can refer to Leninger's Principles of Biochemistry. Okay, plus some other biochemistry books. If you want, you can tell me. If I have something, then I can share it with you. Okay, but you have to refer to the literature, and then you have to write your own notes. Merely listening to my lectures is not enough. Okay. And that also reminds me of something. The attendance of the students is not very good. There are only few students who are very regular, I would say. Okay, there is, I think, Pragati Doke, Sheet, who is that? Shraddha Joshi, Yogita, and Shamim, Inamul. Even Prashant Gire is very regular. Okay, who else? Others?
Sir, Kshamata.
Shamata, you are not regular. Why you are saying you are regular?
काय म्हणले सर?
तू रेग्युलर आहेस असं का वाटतंय तुला? I'll just share something with you. I have made the attendance record here. Can you see that? याच्यामध्ये असं दिसतंय की होगले, भंडारे तर कधी नसतोच. भंडारे is regularly absent. Shraddha Joshi was absent for some time, but then otherwise she is quite regular.
तर त्यावेळेस माझ्या ताईचं लग्न होतं, तो त्या वीक मध्ये मी अटेंड नाही केलेलं.
कोण बोलते है? Who is that? Shraddha. Yes. Yeah, that is accepted. I can agree. I can accept that, because otherwise you are very regular, but only for a few days at a stretch you are not present. Okay, Kshamata Kamble, intermittently you are absent. Kharade also is absent intermittently. Then Khule is fairly regular, I think, but sometimes he was absent. Minal Shirsagar is regularly absent. Why, Minal? Today you are there. Minal, can you hear me? Minal Shirsagar. Let me check the attendance. I think Minal is present today, but she is not answering me, indicating that she is not listening to me. No, I don't think she is there. She tried to join. I think she had joined and then she left. I don't know why. Okay, then who else? Shamim?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Aishwarya, I am also absent for 2 days only.
Did I take your
16
name?
and 24.
Sonali.
No, you are fairly regular in this semester. I'm not taking your name. Okay. कोणाशी मी बोलत होतो ही मध्येच बोलती बरं का काहीतरी. Mahamuni also is not very regular this time. Jogdand, where is Jogdand? Yeah, she is quite regular. Anuradha also is quite regular. Saval Sure is not regular. Vaishnavi. Pooja Naugari is also not regular. Pooja is joining now. Naugare, can you hear? Pooja? Pooja, can you hear me? Vaishnavi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Vaishnavi, why you are absent intermittently? Dheeraj Sutar was quite regular in the last semester, but this semester he is not very regular. Dheeraj, are you there? No, I think he's absent today. Wabre? Is Wabre present today? No, I think. अजून कोण होता? Pawar? Amol Pawar, are you there? Amol Pawar was also trying to join, but I don't know whether he has actually joined. No, he doesn't appear here in the list of participants. So whatever it is, I just want to convey you one message that although I'm giving you the link of the lectures, okay, without asking for, okay, don't consider that this is going to be enough for your exam. Okay. And another thing is based on your attendance this semester, next time I will decide whether or not I should give you the links of the lectures. Okay. Those who are attending the lectures only will get the links from me. I am not going to post it on the group. Okay. Personally, I will send the links to only those students who are regular. And another important thing is your marks for the internal exam will be based upon the attendance in the class. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, going back to my lecture. Okay, so these organisms which are able to use ammonia or reduce ammonia to nitrite, that is called nitrification process. Okay, and then finally the nitrates are also converted to the organic form, that is amino acids, and these amino acids are assimilated in the cell. Okay, either it could be a glutamate or alanine. Okay, so different amino acids, they are formed first, and then these amino acids are further converted into the other types of amino acids. Okay, so these organisms are called as diazotrophs. So this word is very important. This term you have to remember because there might be a question based upon this term. Okay, diazotrophs, right? And there are organisms which are able to fix atmospheric nitrogen, and these organisms can carry out actually fixation of nitrogen in two ways. Either they remain in symbiotic association with the plants, okay, and therefore plants are benefited by way of getting the nitrates from these organisms, and in return the organisms also get some benefit from the plants. Okay, so that is called symbiotic association. And there are some organisms which do not require the symbiotic process to take place, but they are free living organisms in the soil, and in the soil they are able to carry out the fixation of nitrogen, right? Now these forms of nitrogen which are fixed in the soil, they are also very important for agricultural activity because different crops and plants are able to use the nitrates for their own growth. Okay, these are some examples which I've written here: Azotobacter, Rhizobium, and Frankia. Okay, there are cyanobacteria which can carry out nitrification, and green sulfur bacteria can also do that particular thing. Okay, so more examples you will find from the literature. I think I have one very elaborate table here, and in that table also a large number of organisms are enlisted. If you want to see that, we'll just go through that. Depending upon the different groups of organisms, we have the symbiotic ones, the non-symbiotic one. Okay, different types of symbiotic organisms are listed here. Okay, again within that we have aerobic organisms, or we have chemoheterotrophic organisms. Okay, and again in the free living organisms we have different types of organisms. Okay, there are phototrophic organisms, there are heterotrophic organisms. So if you want to have a list, you can just take a screenshot of this table of this page. Okay, and of course I'm going to share the video so you can get the list of these organisms from that also. Okay, then coming to what are the enzymes which are involved in nitrogen reduction. Okay, basically we have a large enzyme complex. This enzyme complex is also called as nitrogenase enzyme complex, but this complex itself is made up of two important distinct proteins. One protein is called as the dinitrogenase reductase enzyme, and the other is called as dinitrogenase enzyme. Okay, so the function of this component, dinitrogenase reductase, is to take the electrons from the donor and give it to nitrogenase. Okay, and then the nitrogenase is going to give the electrons to ammonia to reduce ammonia, right? So dinitrogenase enzyme and dinitrogenase reductase, both the enzymes are metalloproteins. Dinitrogenase reductase contains iron, and dinitrogenase contains molybdenum and iron. Okay, so these are the important things about features of these enzymes. Okay, and this breaking the triple bond is a very difficult task. It requires energy. A total of 6 electrons must actually be transferred, okay, from nitrogen to ammonia. 6 electrons are involved. And for the 6 electrons to be removed, there are 3 reduction steps which happen. And all these steps which are happening, they are actually happening on the enzyme itself, nitrogenase enzyme itself. Okay, and the interesting thing about this particular enzymatic process is that no free intermediates are there which accumulate. Okay, so the conversion takes place very fast. The conversion takes place on the enzyme molecule itself. Okay, and the idea is that nothing should be wasted out. There is no wastage. Okay, energy is required. See, always remember that whenever a particular biochemical reaction requires a lot of energy, that process is considered to be very, very important. And care is taken by nature that that any intermediates which are formed in the particular reaction, they are not wasted out. They are not liberated from the enzyme active site. And therefore, the final conversion of that particular substrate into the product happens very, very efficiently. Okay, so this is the reaction which is taking place. Nitrogen plus 8 protons and 8 electrons. Actually, you see that we require 6 electrons, but the input here is 8 protons and 8 electrons. Okay, plus 16 ATP molecule. Just look at this number. It is a big number actually. For conversion of 1 nitrogen into ammonia, 2 ammonia molecules are formed from 1 nitrogen. Okay, this conversion requires 16 ATP. That is a heavy input of energy. Okay, and then see, just look at this again, that 1 hydrogen molecule is liberated in the process. Now, why this hydrogen is released, what is the function of that hydrogen, that nobody knows. The research has not been done to that particular extent as to why this hydrogen at all is liberated, because 6 electrons are required in the process for conversion of nitrogen to ammonia, and why 8 protons and why 8 electrons are actually used up. The reason for this is not known. Probably that it has something to do with the, you can say, the feasibility of the reaction. The reaction may not be feasible if you have just 6 electrons and 6 protons, and therefore 8 protons and 8 electrons are required for the process. Okay, so yeah, that is what exactly I have written here. Why this hydrogen is evolved in the reaction, we do not know, although that process becomes a little bit energy expensive, but still the organisms prefer to do it that way. Okay. Then what happens to that hydrogen? That hydrogen is recycled. Actually, there is something called as an uptake hydrogenase enzyme, which is an membrane-bound enzyme. And this hydrogenase enzyme recycles the whatever hydrogen is created in that process, and that hydrogen is used up for making ATP. Okay, so actually there is no wastage as such, you can say, because that hydrogen is used up to make up the proton gradient, which ultimately gives rise to the ATP. Okay, so if you look at the electron flow in nitrogen fixation, then this is the electron donor pyruvate, organic electron donor. From pyruvate, the electrons goes to ferredoxine or a flavoprotein. Okay, and from that, the electron goes to dinitrogenase reductase enzyme. That is component number 2. Okay, I think I have not told you these names. It is not written here also, but dinitrogenase reductase is the component number 2, and dinitrogenase actually is called as the component number 1. Okay, so from component number 2, the electrons are going to component number 1. Okay, so dinitrogenase reductase is an enzyme which binds 2 ATPs, and when the 2 ATPs are used up by the enzyme, then it would lower the reduction potential of the enzyme, and that we have already seen that when the standard reduction potential goes down, then that particular molecule is able to give the electrons. Okay, always remember that. Okay, so the lowering of the reduction potential of the enzyme happens because it is using 2 ATPs. It is using energy to do that. Okay, so because of energy, the reduction potential goes down, and that is associated with a conformational change in the molecule. Okay, and because of this conformational change, this dinitrogenase reductase enzyme will now be able to react with the other component, which is called dinitrogenase. Okay, so dinitrogenase is a bigger protein out of the two, and the electrons will be taken up by dinitrogenase. And once it gets the electron, that is to say, it also gets energy. It will again use up some ATP molecules to cause hydrolysis of the ATP, right? And because of that, the electrons will be finally transferred to nitrogen, and nitrogen is converted into ammonia. And by the time this is happening, dinitrogenase reductase enzyme will get dissociated from dinitrogenase. Okay, so although they are working together as a complex, okay, once the job is done, then the two components get separated from each other, they get dissociated, and that is very, very much essential, because if the dissociation doesn't take place on time, then the process will continue to happen, and that is not good for the cell. Why it is not good? Because it is an energy intensive process. So any process which is energy intensive, it won't be carried out continuously for a long time. Okay, there is a strict regulation, and one of the part of regulation is that the two molecules get separated from each other physically, so that the further reaction is stopped, or further input of energy is not allowed to take place. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anybody has a problem, any question with what I have explained so far? What is important to know is that ATP is required in this nitrogen fixation process. Very important point. Okay, so it is an energy intensive process, right? Now in the dinitrogenase enzyme, which is the real component, or which you can say as the core part of the enzyme, which is responsible for converting nitrogen into ammonia, this reduction actually takes place at a particular center on the enzyme, which is called as iron molybdenum co-center. So this is the real place where the reaction, that is the reduction of nitrogen, is taking place. Okay, for this particular process, 6 electrons are required. We have already seen that. But although 6 electrons are required, 8 electrons are actually consumed. Okay, and 2 electrons are lost as hydrogen molecule. 2 electrons and 2 protons, of course. Right, for every mole of nitrogen which is reduced, 2 electrons are lost as the hydrogen, right? Okay, then we come to another important point that is associated with the nitrogenase enzyme. We should know the characteristics of this enzyme, and that is important because again, this process is from energy point of view, the process is very important. And another important thing is all these organisms which are carrying out nitrogen fixation, they are aerobic organisms. Okay, and the important thing is that this particular enzyme is oxygen sensitive. Okay, that is because oxygen can very rapidly, okay, rapidly and irreversibly, it can inactivate the dinitrogenase reductase enzyme. Okay, component number 2, that is dinitrogenase reductase part of the enzyme complex, is very, very sensitive to oxygen. Okay, so when I say irreversible inactivation, it means that if there is a small amount of oxygen which binds to dinitrogenase reductase, then it causes irreversible damage to the enzyme. The enzyme cannot be activated again. Okay, if it reacts with oxygen, then it is permanently damaged, right? And that is why we say that it is oxygen sensitive. And not only that it is sensitive, but it is rapidly inactivated by oxygen. But on the other hand, the important thing is the organisms are aerobic. So the question is, for an aerobic organism where oxygen is going to enter into the cells, and this oxygen is going to damage the important enzyme, dinitrogenase reductase. So how is it possible? Okay, isn't the two things, aren't they contradictory? On the one hand, the organisms are aerobic, so oxygen enters the system. And on the other hand, this enzyme is inactivated by oxygen. This is an important enzyme for the organism, because the organism will assimilate nitrogen only when the atmospheric nitrogen is fixed, isn't it? Fixed into ammonia. Only then it will be able to assimilate nitrogen. Now, for this important process which is taking place, important metabolic process which is taking place in the cell, if it is going to be inactivated by oxygen, then how will the things proceed? Isn't it? And therefore, we should know what are the different characteristics of nitrogenase. Nature has made the thing very interesting. Nature has taken care of nitrogenase. Nature knows how to protect the enzyme. Okay, and therefore there are different mechanisms by which different organisms will be able to survive. They will be able to carry out nitrogen fixation, although the organisms are aerobic. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us see what are the different characteristics. Okay, one thing is that the oxygen which is entering the system, because that oxygen might interfere with the nitrogen fixation process, because it is going to irreversibly damage the enzyme dinitrogenase reductase, somehow that oxygen which comes in should be taken care of. And one way it is taken care of is by using that oxygen as rapidly as possible for respiration process. Okay, we have already studied aerobic respiration. You know what is aerobic respiration. You know what is the electron transport chain in aerobic respiration, isn't it? Oxygen serves as the terminal electron acceptor. Okay, so the way oxygen is used as the terminal electron acceptor, that particular process, the electron transport chain is very, very rapid. And therefore, whatever oxygen enters the system, it is very, very rapidly converted into what? What is oxygen converted into in aerobic respiration?
So water.
Yes.
Water.
Yes. Oxygen is reduced, isn't it? And oxygen is reduced to water. So this process of converting oxygen into water happens very fast in these organisms. And that is why the nitrogenase enzyme is protected. Dinitrogenase reductase enzyme is protected from oxygen by using that oxygen as early as possible, as rapidly as possible. Right? So these organisms are characterized by a high rate of respiration, high rate of aerobic respiration. Can you see my screen, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The other important characteristic of these organisms is that most of these organisms are able to produce what is called as the slime layer. Okay, exocellular polysaccharide in the form of slime layer, which is covering the cell. Okay, and that is how excess oxygen is prevented from entering the cell. Okay, only the required quantity of oxygen can enter into the cell, and most of the unwanted oxygen which is in excess, maybe in the atmosphere, in the surrounding environment, that oxygen is prevented from coming inside the cell by way of producing slime layers. I think you have studied Azotobacter. Have you seen Azotobacter under the microscope?
No, sir.
You have not seen? Anybody who has seen Azotobacter? That is very strange, because when I was in my first year BSc, I have done the practical on capsule staining. Okay, have you studied about
Yes,
this?
sir.
Okay, who is
Yes,
that?
sir.
Who said yes?
Shraddha, sir.
Okay, have you seen the cells, Azotobacter?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I have a picture of that.
Yeah, what did you say?
So I have picture microscope view, microscopic view.
Have you yourself stained the capsule of the Azotobacter?
Yes, sir.
Very good, very good. So do you remember the name of that method, capsule staining method?
No, sir. I forgot it.
Okay. How many of you remember? Can anybody tell the name of the method? See, I did my BSc in 1989, I think. 1989. No, I think 91, 1991. So that is at least 30 years from now. And still I remember that. Although I'm not referring to any book after that, okay, just for Azotobacter or whatever, I still remember that name. Who can tell me? Pragati?
Sir, I
Prashant?
don't remember.
Okay, Prashant? Shamim, Unamul, do you remember?
So forgot, sir.
Forgot, okay. How does the capsule appear? How do the cells appear? At least that you can tell me. Can you recollect the picture that you have seen in the staining, after the staining?
gram negative.
Gram
Sir,
negative
capsule
से बात कर रहा हूँ.
colors.
I am asking you about the capsule staining. So what is the color of the organisms?
Sir,
Reddish oval color, oval.
Okay,
reddish.
red oval cells. Okay. And what about the background? Is the background stained?
No, so only capsules are stained.
Okay. There is one method which is called Manival's method, which I remember. Okay. And in that Manival's method, the background appears faint blue, okay, light blue in color. The capsules appear colorless and the bacterial cells appear red in color. So that is what I remember from my
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
BSc.
That we have done.
Yeah. So if somebody agrees, then it is good. Good that you remember. But what I would advise you is you should go through the literature to find out more information about Azotobacter or Rhizobia. Okay, so all the different organisms which we are going to study here, we should know something about that, because we don't have enough time to talk about each and every organism here in the lecture. Okay, so that is your self-study, which I would advise you. And that should be important from your practical point of view, practical examination point of view. Okay, because in the practical viva, they would ask you questions related to that particular practical, but they don't exactly ask you exactly what is taught to you in the laboratory or in the class. Okay, they go a little away from that topic to related topics. Okay, so one of the related topics is this: how you stain the capsules. Okay, how you stain these organisms, what is the morphology of all these organisms, how can you identify Rhizobia, how can you identify Azotobacter, okay, Nostoc, Anabina, all these organisms, you should have some information about these organisms, right? So that is the second point I have told you, the production of slime layers or capsule layers which can prevent the entry of oxygen into the cells. And the third important mechanism by which nitrogenase enzyme is protected from oxygen is by compartmentation. Okay, the nitrogenase enzyme is not allowed to mix up with any other enzymes, or especially the enzymes which are related to the